Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we are recapping and talking about what has happened so far at VCT Masters Tokyo. This tournament has been crazy. There's been a lot of upsets, there's been a lot of unexpected losers and winners, and we're going to talk about it. We have plenty of more Valorant to go, but we're going to talk about what has happened so far because it's been quite the time. I made my pick'ems video on the playoff stage about 4 hours before the matches started, and as you can see at the bottom of the board here, I was 1-4 in those predictions. I was very, very wrong. And rightfully so. There was a lot of people clowning on me in the comments saying, wow, how can someone be so wrong right away? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just happened. So here we are today. I'm not salty about it or anything. It's understandable. I would probably do the same. And yeah, I got all of them except for one right. And hey, I'll take that one. I'll take it. The thing about Valorant and the thing about esports in general is that it's so unpredictable. You have teams that don't face each other for like years or a while, or face each other at just one tournament, and then just you think one team's just so far above the other one, and then just ends up not being the case in the moment. So that's kind of what happened, at least for my predictions. So yeah, it's been quite the time. So we're going to go through it and we're just going to talk about everything. So far the biggest upset, in my opinion, is Edward Gaming 2-0ing Loud. Now, I made a video about the second place curse, and in this tournament, it stayed consistent. The second place curse, it's here, and it's not going away anytime soon. Loud did not win a single map this entire tournament. And I picked Loud to win the whole thing. And yeah, people were clowning on me for my predictions for that. But listen, can anyone blame me? Can anyone really blame me for picking Loud over Evil Geniuses? I know Evil Geniuses look great, but Loud has looked great for months now. They made it to a grand finals. Maybe there's people that were just thinking, oh, second place curse, that means they're not going to do well at all. But there was also a lot of people that I saw that were like, oh, no, that's not a real thing. That, you know, they're a really good team. They should be able to do well. But they didn't. So I guess the curse is real. It stayed consistent here. It's not going away. Here we are. Edward Gaming, they came out to play against Loud, and just Loud did not do very well that entire time. So Edward Gaming just coming out of nowhere, in my opinion at least. And yeah, we'll get to more about them later. And I'll definitely be making videos about the teams that did not do very well at this tournament, that really had a lot larger expectations going in, and Loud is definitely going to be one of those teams. So for the best teams at the tournament so far, I put down two teams, Fnatic and Evil Geniuses. Starting with Fnatic, their maps are 4-0. They have not lost a map so far. The rounds are 52-25. They have had some impressive wins. They 2-0'd Energy, and then they 2-0'd Paper X. So they're looking great. I was maybe thinking they might not be very warmed up, and Energy might be able to come in with momentum after having a shaky group stage, but still made it to playoffs and still beat Na'Vi, one of the better EMEA teams that really did not do well this tournament. But I was proven wrong, and Fnatic proved why they won lock-in and why they are considered one of, if not the best teams in the world. Only losing 25 rounds, they have a great differential, they're doing good. And then Evil Geniuses, which have been just crazy this entire tournament, just with some insane wins, winning over teams that I did not take them to win against. In the group stage, it was DRX, and in the playoff stage, it was Loud. They absolutely destroyed Loud in probably one of the worst matches Loud has ever lost. EG won the first map 13-7, and then they won the next one 13-5. So Loud couldn't even break 10 rounds won. So just complete dominance there. Evil Geniuses looking like they are not here to just be like, oh, we were a underdog team coming in, now let's just, let's just have fun at that. No, they are here to win. They are here to win. They are taking this super seriously, and they are just looking crazy. So quite the time for Evil Geniuses fans, which months ago a lot of people said there was only like 4 of them. So there you go. Evil Geniuses maps 8-0. They have not dropped a map so far, and it's looking like they have a chance to go the entire tournament undefeated in maps. I did say in my video about them about a week ago, I was saying, oh, they'll probably eventually drop a map. I don't know. At this rate, you really don't know. I mean, 2-0ing Loud and then 2-0ing Team Liquid and DRX, like, these are top tier teams. These are really good teams that people, consider contenders, and they haven't dropped a map against them. So we'll see what happens against Fnatic. That will be their greatest test so far. Fnatic is looking absolutely locked in and ready to win another tournament. So it will be an insanely big challenge for Evil Geniuses, but we'll see. The rounds so far are 105-54, an amazing round record right there. They have just dominated teams left and right, looking super good. And the most surprising team, in my opinion, is Edward Gaming, one of the Chinese teams coming out of nowhere, looking very good. I'll get to more about Cankann later, but he has been an absolute bombshell for them, looking like one of the best jet players in the entire world. He gets kills. That's all he does. He just gets kills. And this man's aim is incredible. His energy is great. I love seeing him on stage. An incredible player, and they've been the most surprising team, mainly because of him. I wouldn't say that they're being just carried by him, but he is absolutely the reason why that team is doing as well as they're doing. Their maps are 8-4, so they have lost 2 matches so far, but they lost 1 in group stage and so far 1 in playoffs. They did lose to Liquid, and then they won against Loud. So losing to Liquid is, understandable. I can see Liquid winning that. I did pick Edward Gaming to win that one. But in my pick'ems, I had Loud versus Edward Gaming in the next match. And Edward Gaming ended up playing Loud just in lowers and just wiped the floor with them. So, maybe Loud just was not ready for this tournament. Maybe they just didn't prep as well as they should have. But man, Edward Gaming, they're looking great. The rounds are 151 to 121. Pretty decent, a differential, a bit closer of a gap than Evil Geniuses or Fnatic, but still pretty solid. I don't really expect them to win the tournament, but if they can have another upset over Paper X, that'd be crazy. And they are proving that the China region of Valorant is not one to be taken lightly. And then we get to the most disappointing teams. I put 2 on the board, and it should come as no surprise to anyone that I put DRX and Loud. Now, DRX, they had to go through the group stage, and they looked pretty shaky, but they did end up making it to playoffs. They only lost against Evil Geniuses in group stage, and EG, again, is looking phenomenal and looked like they could take the whole tournament. So understandable loss there. But then they played against a Paper X team that was missing arguably their best player in something. And their sub was Cigarettes, who is a guy that doesn't really have a lot of experience on LAN or playing for this team. He's been here and there. You would hope that missing your best player and having a guy who's definitely not as good come in and try to hold the fort down, you would expect DRX to take advantage of that, but no, they couldn't. They lost that one 2-0. And then they faced Energy, and Energy just was not losing that one. So very disappointing performance from DRX. I was really hoping they were going to do well. Their maps were 3-7 for the whole tournament, and their rounds were 62-1 to 120 loss. So really bad numbers there. Definitely expected a lot more out of this roster, especially because they had a really solid regular season going 8-1, and then they did make it to grand finals of their playoffs. They just could not get their stuff together. They were falling into bad habits, and teams were just able to walk all over them. It seemed like they lacked confidence. It seemed like they lacked seriousness, like that killer instinct that you need to do well in competitions. They just didn't have it, and here we are. And they went to grand finals of the Pacific playoffs, but they did end up losing that. But they had to go through group stage in probably the weaker group of the two, and they couldn't really even dominate there. So really disappointing numbers from DRX, really disappointing performance. I don't know what you do if you're DRX. Do you make a change? Do you say, well, we had a really good regular season, so maybe we just run it back with the same roster? Or do you look at this team and just go, this team is not good enough. They have not been good enough. They have been considered contenders in the past, but maybe that time is no more and we need to make changes. I don't know. I don't know what you do if you're DRX, so we'll see. And then we have Loud, which is definitely more disappointing of a performance than DRX in my opinion, especially because Loud has a lot higher expectations for them. I know the second place curse is something that people would probably take into consideration for their predictions, but my thinking was they had a really good regular season, they looked really good in playoffs, they have a super solid roster, they have Aspas, arguably the best player in the world. They should be able to do better than just losing your first 2 games and not even be able to take a map. But here we are, and their players did not have it. They just did not play good enough. They only got to 10 round wins once, and that was against EDG on the second map, which was Fracture, but they lost that one. They only won 3 rounds that entire second half. So Edward Gaming, all credit to them, but Loud, it's incredibly disappointing. A team that I took to win the whole tournament. I'm not particularly a Loud fan, so I don't care that I was wrong on that one, but man, that is just That's tough. And then we have the most surprising player, and that to me is Cankann. Now, Cankann is a player that I knew very, very little about going into this tournament, and Cankann is proving that he is absolutely a guy to be taken seriously and a guy to remember. He's ranked number 8 in the VLR rating for the whole tournament. His KD ratio is a very solid 1.35, and his average combat score is 280.8. That ACS is second in the entire tournament, and that KD ratio is 5th, so he's in the top 10 for pretty much every really important stat. So he's been absolutely incredible, and he is looking like potentially one of the best players in the world, at least one of the best Jet players in the world, and he's also very good on Raze. Do not count Edward Gaming out of any match, really, because anytime that Cankann is on the map, he will wreck you. He will wreck your shit, and there is nothing you can do about it. And then the most disappointing player, I put Sadak. You could make the argument for other players on DRX or Loud, but I did Sadak because in terms of the VLR rating, he is very last. He has a 0.64 VLR rating, so really not good there. He has a KD ratio of 0.49 and an ACS of 130. I know he is the IGL, so a lot of IGLs aren't the players that are looked to for kills. But even so, even if you're not a player that is known to freak out, these are still abysmal numbers. Having a not only negative KD ratio, but below 0.50, that's really bad. So really poor performance by Sadak here, and he couldn't get the rest of his team going, and it's really unfortunate because he's a good player, and he's on a really good team, and he's one of the reasons why that team is really good, but they just could not get it going in Tokyo. Maybe champions, they could do it. We'll see what happens there. And then, as I said before, my predictions for quarterfinals, which I misspelled as quarterfinals. Apologies for that. I was 1-4 in my pick'ems for this tournament. I took PaperX to beat DRX. I was right in that. I took Energy to beat Fnatic. Was very wrong on that. Edward Gaming to beat Team Liquid. I was wrong on that, but that was a little bit closer, 2-1. And then Loud versus EG. I picked Loud to win that one. Evil Geniuses proved me wrong right away. I was just like, what? Really? Are you serious? So as I said before, I don't care that I was wrong on my predictions. That's kind of the point of predictions and why they're kind of fun, is because you could either be very right or you could just have a shot in the dark and just be completely wrong. Valorant is an extremely, extremely random esport, and I never have any idea what's going to happen. Teams can look amazing and then look terrible. Teams can look terrible and then look great. Evil Geniuses is proving that right now. They were last in Americas at one point. They were last in Americas, and now they might take the whole tournament without losing a map. I was not the only one counting them out. But I did take them to go to Grand Finals, and it looks like, at least very likely, that they do it. Even if they lose against Fnatic, they just need to win the next one. It's crazy, and I never know what's going to happen, and that's why I love Valorant, because you really just don't know how things are going to shake up. I like it when it's a new team winning every time, or a team has a really surprising Cinderella run like EG is having right now. So I absolutely welcome the chaos, and, you know, I hope I'm right in the future, but if I'm not, that's okay. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed your time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.